Hi, my name's Elizabeth Knive, and this is my film review of First Contact. First Contact's a documentary film made in the 1980s by Robin Anderson and Bob Connolly. There's three parts that I'm going to discuss about the film and the visual. The first is going to be the visual and as a documentary film. The second is going to be how the film changed my view and thinking a little bit and expanded it after I thought about it for several days. And then the third part will be how it relates to my studies in anthropology. The visuals of the film are that I thought was very good was the footage from 1930s that was mixed into the 1980s footage. When people can see footage from the 1930s, it's very valuable. It gives a very different viewpoint from what we see today. It showed the native culture of the Papua New Guineans who were in the interior before they had made changes that we consider modern changes or something, or before they started to adapt and take things from the non-European people, the non-native people that were visiting them that had gone in. That 1930s footage was filmed by Michael Leahy, and he had pretty extensive footage and also still photos that the filmmakers, the documentary filmmakers, mixed into it. So it gave you a good idea of some of the things that Michael Leahy saw there. The other part that is part of the way the film was put together is that Anderson and Connolly took interviews that they did in the 1980s from people that were there in the 1930s. And this way they could actually talk to the people, the native people as well as the non-native people, and ask them, well, what did you think? What was happening as this happened to you in the 30s? And that was a very valuable and important part of the film, to see what the people were thinking, to be able to hear what they felt. The part about that learning or changing my thinking was, I had at first thought that the native people are perfect, and then here's the non-native group and they come in, they had guns, they were shooting at the native people, they did kill some people, and I thought that was very wrong, and you first think that the native people hadn't been exposed to that before. But they had, because the more you learn about the area, the tribal areas, that there were territories and there would be death that would happen between the territorial fights. So it wasn't just the million interior natives living there harmoniously. There were still conflicts between the tribes as territories were defined and groups moved about. So that's important to know, that you're not just looking at a perfect situation and then you condemn one group for murder and then the other group you think is perfect, because there's certain things that happen on both sides. So that kind of expanded my viewpoint of that. The third part is that for the studies in anthropology, it's very useful, because a lot of anthropology you're studying, you're reading articles or books, and then to be able to actually observe these changes that are happening between the cultures, with the people, with their material culture, with their ways of life, and visualize that, as well as the environmental changes and how that changes the river, and when they were dredging for gold, and once the river gets changed, and the currents, the turbidity, and the pollution that gets created from that, how that also changes the culture. It's not just the first non-native person with a gun, it's the environmental change as well. And I liked all of those balances, and I think that made a well-rounded film that has a lot of aspects for study. Thank you.